broke. I was waiting for the bank to repossess the house, and God said, "No, don't worry about that."
I've been in that situation.
Have you?
Yeah. I understand it.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to get at, so there is a hope for the future, because we see what's happening in the world. You know, it's not just the stock markets that's in trouble. It's not just the banks.
It's
but
terrible.
you've got, you know, it's so topsy-turvy. For example, I was watching the news the other day. The yen is so valuable compared to other currencies that it's damaging to the Japanese people. And because their exports are too expensive. So it's a curse, yet their performance and their goods are what people want, but they can't afford to buy them. So you've got this fluctuating market in currency values. Surely, I mean, in simple terms, I'm not. To me, it would seem right that if the world's going to do something, they just have one world currency and
we're heading that way.
Stop these speculators making money out of buying the currency, thinking that the next currency is going to be this currency or that currency, therefore buying that up and forcing the value up because suddenly everybody's buying this, so that everybody's like sheep. You know, they all go to this or that wherever there's movement, and it creates just an ever vicious circle of problems. But if you had one world monetary system, there wouldn't be the fluctuation. But that's another topic. But
let's talk about that.
But before I do that, I still want an answer to my question.
Go on then.
Is that in the new heaven and the new earth, if there's no money, how are people going to be assessed, or how they're going to be recompensed, or how they're going to differentiate between those who are willing to work and those who are not? Because you do have lazy people, and you have people who do not want to work, and there's a scriptural principle that even applies today. If a man doesn't work, neither should he eat. That's what God says. Now, it's different if he can't work because he's incapable of work, different story. But in God's system, new world, if someone, you know, it says that you will build and no one else have occupancy, you're going to plant your vineyard and no one else eat of the vine. So in other words, a man's work has to be to provide for his own household and possibly to help his neighbour. But if you've got a really lazy neighbour, you say, well, get off your own backside and do your own house building. Different if he's incapacitated, your heart goes out and you want to help. So if there's no monetary system in the new world, how will God deal with it? Or we're going to have a different attitude.
What you need to know, because remember, I've actually I've studied life after death quite a lot, and I've actually interviewed 300 people who've actually been to either heaven or hell. We won't talk about hell, but we will talk about heaven. In heaven, there's a totally different social order. We're not in different families. We're in one family. We don't even have husband and wife relationship.
That's right. No marriage.
So we won't have neighbours we don't get on with, because we're all in one family.
No neighbours from hell. Of course, they'll all be in hell.
That's right.
That's a brilliant solution.
So it'll be a totally different social order, you see. Now, in Luke chapter 19, we talk about, it talks about people being rewarded for how we've actually dealt with our money whilst on this earth. And people who've looked after sums of money quite well will be put in charge of cities. People who haven't will not be put in charge of cities.
The parable of the talents.
But
that makes sense.
But it's a totally different social order. So it won't be a question of laziness and that person not pulling his weight, because we'll all be in one family. There is just unspeakable joy in heaven. It's fantastic and wonderful, and it'll just be great because nobody's going to get tired. We just want to get on and do things and be creative.
And we won't be getting old.
No GPs in heaven, thank goodness.
No big salaries. They won't want to be there, will they?
Well, there won't be salaries, you see.
Exactly.
That's the whole point. There's no money. Money is a man-made thing. And by the way, money itself is neither good nor bad. I mean, with money you can feed the homeless and feed the children in Africa, but you can also do bad things with money as well. But so it's the love of money that's bad, and that's where the world's gone wrong. And I must say that this world is actually. I must come back to your one world
monetary system.
Because we're heading there.
I think we are too.
I'm sure of it.
Could see it. It's
back in 1933, Hitler became Chancellor of Germany, and he came at a time of hyperinflation, and he is a type of Antichrist. He tried to kill off the Jewish people.
Mugabe, are you? No, sorry.
No, we're talking about Hitler. And he tried to kill off. He didn't do it, but he nearly succeeded in killing I've been to Auschwitz, I've been to Yad Vashem, maybe you have as well. Yeah. And, he tried to kill off the Jewish people. Well, we're heading up. You're right, the world is in a mess. There is all this currency trouble. Now, I'm very worried about the British pound. It's gone up a bit today, but it's actually crashing. It's gone down, I don't know, about 10, 15% over the last few months. It's worrying. It's very worrying because basically the value, the value of the pound's gone down. So our imports become more expensive. We're importing inflation. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Now, these books, which I won't go into now, but they're all. I study finances in great detail because I'm very, very interested in world financial affairs. But the world is heading for is already in a complete disaster. We've heard all about the subprime mortgages, but just round the corner is the credit default swaps, which is the insurance for all these things.
I've been following this, Richard. I am fascinated by it.
People don't know how much money is involved.
We're talking trillions, aren't we?
1.2 quadrillion US dollars, which is more money than the whole of the planet.
Banking system. Now this, when I didn't know it existed until last week.
Oh, right.
Okay? That this form of insurance which was a sort of bet by these so-called insurance companies that who was going to go bust first, almost, isn't it?
Well, it's within the derivatives. Yeah. But the thing is, it's been unregulated, you see.
And they didn't count on such a global debt problem or a bankruptcy problem. No. And now, when they are going to have to pay, I thought D-Day was last week, but it seemed to slip by last Thursday when these insurance companies...
Credit default swaps.
Yeah, that's it.
It hasn't really come to everyone's attention yet, but it will do.
And that's going to cause mayhem.
This is going to be much, much worse. The next thing down the line isn't the subprime mortgages, it's the credit default swaps. Because that is a far, far bigger arena. It's 10 times the size of the mortgage problem. And basically, we've got...
will it bankrupt countries?
Well, it already is. It's Iceland's appealed to the International Monetary Fund. Argentina has. Poland... No, not Poland, sorry. Hungary has. And Ukraine has. And the Philippines looks like it might do. There are a lot of countries that are in trouble. And, who knows where it's all going to go, because... the whole thing is a complete mess. My point is that we're heading for a complete disaster. We may well end up with hyperinflation because the debts are so great. My personal belief is the debts are so great that the governments cannot meet these debts by either taxation or reducing public expenditure, which only leaves one more avenue, and that's to print it, which means hyperinflation. And could it be that the Antichrist, who I believe will come very soon, we'll never see him because we'll be gone in the rapture, Antichrist will not be revealed until he who is restraining is taken out of the way. So we will not know who Antichrist is. But whoever he is, I believe, just like Hitler came to power on the crest of hyperinflation in Germany, the Weimar Republic, when they were carting money around in wheelbarrows
to buy a loaf of bread.
That's right.
People might not even know that. But that's exactly how bad
exactly
it was.
What happened.
I hope you're listening in the control room. Can you imagine taking a big wheelbarrow or a truck or a van full of... money just to buy one loaf of bread. That's how bad it got in the 1930s.
It got so bad that the workers were let off work every 3 hours to go and buy their provisions because the money was devaluing in that 3-hour period. So that's how bad it got. Well, Hitler came to power at that time, and everyone welcomed him.
He looked like the Messiah for them.
He was a Messiah of Germany at the time. Well, I believe that Antichrist will come at a time of world economic crisis, such as we haven't seen yet, but we can see the beginnings of it all.
Luke 21 comes to mind. When men will become faint out of fear upon the things that are happening in the earth. And we could see that on the people's faces in the stock exchanges and the financial world. I've heard the term used, financial Armageddon, on several channels.
Look, let me show this book. There we are.
Week or so.
Financial Armageddon.
It was your fault.
This is a secular book, but it's absolutely brilliant. And it says it's by Michael Panzer. It's not
the Panzer Division.
It's not a Christian book, but it's brilliant because I think of all the books I've read, this one probably gets it.
For impending catastrophes.
Yeah, it talks about deflation, which we're currently seeing, followed by hyperinflation.
Yeah.
Now, what's the answer to all this? Well, it's not to get men's hearts fair, but to very quickly now get into this financial thing, the whole financial thing that God has for all believers, but very few get into it.